What do you mean you don't give a shit? It's a temple. There was like pottery and shit there. Old carvings, probably a few scrolls or something. Pretty much guaranteed. Miss, we asked you to measure the borders of the forests on the island to see if they were growing or diminishing. I don't know anything about ancient temples or rock carving. The old dilapidated clerk replied, entirely unenthused with Nick and Elsara's findings. Elsara couldn't understand why. Half the contents of his tiny, cramped office were covered in dust and spiderwebs. Some stacks of parchments were stacked all the way to the ceiling. Yeah, but this shit could actually be important. Here at the Cartographers Guild, the accuracy of our maps is very important, and at the Bureau of Land Management's Forestry Subcommittee for Heaven Oak Preservation upon the frontier, the size of the forest is supremely important. Whatever, man. Just fucking pay us, alright? We're so taking the location somewhere else, by the way. Elsara rebuffed him, feeling rather crestfallen. You are 3 months late in handling in your labours. The late fee was 15 silver per day. However, do not worry. The contract stipulates that it would be impossible for you to end up owing us money. We care deeply for the financial health of our contractors. Elsara stared at the pathetic paper pusher for a few moments. She had, of course, never actually bothered reading the contract. All she and Nick had cared about was getting paid to go exploring, meaning they may or may not have taken quite a few detours both on the way to the destination, at the destination, and on the way back home again. You... Ah, for fuck's sake! Forests don't fucking move, you... Would you like a cookie? Elsara stared at the pathetic little man with confusion, before glancing at the small glass cookie jar sitting on the table as he lifted the lid for her. Cookies were sweet, so she was definitely having one of those. Maybe it was some sort of clerk defense mechanism, like an odor hair covering itself in acid when scared. Wordlessly, she stuck her hand in and fished one out, going to munch on it right away. Her nose wrinkled as a taste not too dissimilar to hardtack crumbled its way across her tongue, taking any semblance of moisture with it. What the? The finest oats in the city. My mother bakes them for me every 10 year. Aren't they wonderful? They taste like desperation and sadness, or a hunt gone wrong. If the clerk's feelings were hurt, he certainly didn't show it, his perfectly placid expression remaining obstinately unbothered by her outbursts. He just put the lid back on the jar and folded his hands expectantly. What the hell is the point of a deadline anyway? Elsara burst back out, returning to the topic at hand. Like I said, it's a fucking forest. They don't move. We navigate by those damn things, you know. The point of your going was to see where they were now, so there was a point in the deadline. What if the forest has moved since? Dude, when was the last time you had someone go look? 83 years ago. Much, much too long, if you ask me. And you're fucking upset about us being 3 months late? As per the contract. I don't give a black Drake stripping arsehole about your contract. I want to get paid. I really don't see what racial stereotyping has to do with this issue. The clerk replied calmly, shaking his head, hands remaining folded. Elsara's shoulders just sagged as she started to realize she really wasn't going to get a single copper out of all this. They didn't need much money, but they definitely needed some. That left sending off what they had found, which normally went about as well as trying to eat soup in flight. She really didn't get that saying. She just used a water skin. Suckers. Perhaps the mining guild would be interested. I know they like rocks, the little man offered with feigned optimism. Not fucking sandstone, they don't. Elsara spat back, with as much venom as she could muster before straightening her back and, in one swift motion, scooping the hand-drawn map scroll from the table. I'll be keeping this then. No pay, no prize. Oh, that is okay. The quality of work was quite insufficient. I just didn't wish to abrade your feelings any further. Elsara stared a moment longer, holding her precious maps that she had toiled over for hours before coming here. She had been really proud of her work. It was the first time she'd tried mapping out something to actually be sold, after all. I got nothing. Also, I am in fact a woman. The gods don't love you.
Blessings of low-tech be with you. Now, please vacate my office.
Yo, what did they say? Were they happy with, the temple there? Did you show them the sketchings? We're going right now, right? Go find them all the crap they can't. Nick questioned enthusiastically, as Elsara came walking down the stairs leading to the small subwing of the Cartographers Guild. She was keeping her head high for appearance's sake. She didn't actually know why. They had fucked this up beyond all belief and were probably not going to be getting any more jobs out of those offices for quite some time. Or ever. Not really, no, she admitted, still pretending all was well. Remember that pot you found? The green one? With the zigzaggy pattern and the naked dudes carrying fruit baskets to, the most comfy looking dragon ever? Yeah, let's try selling that. Oh, but I like that one. It's totally me. Bro, do you want dinner or a carving of dinner? Dinner, the dragon replied, ears slacking before he looked back to her, as she was already climbing up into the saddle. Wait, what about that contract, though? Void due to being late. And some other ox shit, Elsa replied dejectedly, as Nick started moving off. Aw, man, I thought we did well. Dang it. Fucking desk riders thinking we got, drawing shit went out there. I guess we need to go get, some actual quills and shit if we want to do maps. Claws and jar ain't good enough for some people. Or just tell those sad fucks to go fuck themselves. See if anyone wants to work with them. We could also, keep it dry next time. The dragon sighed, as he started trotting out into the open street. Not my fucking fault he decided to storm. Useless chests leakier than a coin pouch. Stupid fucking contract moving forests, my ass. Elsara grumbled, as Nick lined up in the middle of the wide street. Some people in front of him starting to part already. Yo, dudes and dames, move or get moved, Nick shouted out, getting the attention of those who hadn't seen the takeoff in progress. Some sprang for cover, others rolled their eyes and slowly sauntered a metre or two closer to the edges of the street, giving the small dragon all the room he needed, assuming they ducked. Watch your horns, I'm going. Get your trinkets! Genuine artifacts of a forgotten world! Ancient pottery and drawn recreations! Nick shouted down the busy market street, head raised well above the crowd. Everyone was either looking bemused by his hollering or avoiding eye contact like his scales were turning black. Just discovered remnants of who we used to be. Do, just give it a break. A quite sad-sounding Elsara interrupted. She was sitting on the small chest they had for carrying stuff around in that was at least sorta precious. It still leaked and weighed far too much for Nick's liking. He did stop his outcries and lie down on his side to face her on the nice warm cobblestones. It was really quite a nice day, if not for the rather big problem of no one wanting to pay them for much of anything they spent the spring and early summer doing. Elsara had at least managed to sell a few items, and luckily not his big pot. He had quite wanted to keep it, maybe bury it somewhere so he could come find it later. They both agreed it had to be worth at least 5 gold, but no one had offered them more than a single one so far. How much have we made so far? 3 silver and 14 copper. Enough for dinner, but not much more, Elsara replied dejectedly. Nick knew full well he was the more expensive one to feed of the two of them, but he was also the one doing all the work most of the time, so that seemed fair enough to him. Well, that sucks. I guess no new gear then. Fuck gear. We might start before we can get back out to someplace we can hunt again. We're dead broke, bro. Maybe we could take some work in the city. Remember this winter? That wasn't so bad. They don't need someone frostproof during the middle of summer, and I ain't freezing to death so you can have Tyrox for dinner. Maybe we can get one of those tents for keeping you warm. With what money? You need oil for that shit too. Ain't no way. It's the middle of summer too. You'd be lucky to haul some boxes around for room and board, and then we're stuck here. Oh, yeah. Maybe we shouldn't have had that big celebration feast in spring before setting off. That shit was good though, so I want to go back to that place. What was it called again? Ember's Smokehouse. And yeah, we so need to go back there sometime. Good food is the only reason there is for being in the city. That and making money or buying shit, but clearly we suck major ass at that. Elsara sighed, Leaning back far enough, Nick hoped she would tip over backwards, just as the gentleman cleared his throat.
Excuse me, is the crockery for sale?
Elsara looked up suddenly, and Nick took his chance to bat at the saddle a little bit, causing her to fall over backwards, legs reaching for the sky before coming back down in a heap. The dragon chuckled a little as Elsara scrambled back to her feet, seemingly none the wiser as to why she had gotten on her ass. She was much too busy with the prospective customer. Yeah, it's for sale. We just came back with it from the island of, Crane, Nick helpfully added, as she scrambled to her feet properly, dusting herself off. Right, yes, Crane Island. We found it in this ancient old temple in the forest. There are a bunch of them down south. Well, southeast from here, but you know where it is, of course.
Yes, the man replied, with an accent so posh-sounding Nick believed it just had to be faked. Maybe the geezer was trying to seem more important than he was. Nick could understand that. He'd been barred out of places fit for dragons many times, just because they didn't know him and he didn't have any money.
I like it,
the man declared, with a swoosh of a lengthy sleeve that hung almost to the ground, made of fine white silks. He was clad in all white, which contrasted quite nicely with his various golden jewellery. At least Nick thought it was gold. He wondered what he might look like with golden rings on his fingers. They sounded quite handy. All you had to do to buy a meal and a nice hot floor stable to sleep in was take one off and hand it over.
Does that mean you want to buy it? Nick questioned cautiously, as Elsara looked at the man expectantly. He certainly wasn't in any hurry, as he rubbed his chin thoughtfully.
I would quite like a set,
he finally declared. Nick could see Elsara curse under her breath as her hopes were once more dashed. Thinking quickly, Nick interrupted. You could sponsor an expedition to find more. Only 50 gold.
10,
the man responded, almost as if on cue, the small servant behind him nodding with physical delight.
30. We gotta get supplies. Nick countered right back. It's expensive being a dragon like me.
20, not a copper more. You couldn't eat more than a gaggle of children if put to it.
The man spoke with a confidence that seemed entirely rooted in uninformed personal beliefs, like most nobles really.
Sold,
the dragon declared enthusiastically, Elsara hurrying to step up in front of him.
With the rest when we get it, 10 gold each?
5, and only if they are just as nice as this one or nicer, the noble demanded.
Oh, they'll be great, all of them. Promise. We'll just bring the lot,
Elsara offered, nodding enthusiastically.
Splendid,
the man declared triumphantly.
Do see if they have any in blue, or purple. I like purple.
Sure thing, sir. We'll bring back all the pots. I'm sure they have all sorts of stuff, Nick interjected again, not quite sure if the man actually thought there was someone there they would be buying the pots from, but at the end of the day, who cares?
Oh, naturally. I am sure it is a large place. I have hundreds of pots at home, I think, and it isn't even a ruin. May I keep the first pot, then?
Nick hesitated, looking to Elsara, who nodded with similar enthusiasm to the dragon.
Sure, proof of, purchase or something. We get 20 now, you get the pot, we come back with more pots. 5 golds each at least.
Absolutely delightful! I am sure Cara will adore it. Jeeves, pay them, please,
the man declared, holding his hands out for the precious pot, which Elsara gently handed over to the strange nobleman. 20 gold was a lot of money for them. For a dragonette, that could be like 2 years' salary, if you were poor. For a young dragon, it was more like a few months, but he didn't want to go to work these ordinary jobs any longer than he had to. Jeeves, as the servant was apparently called, counted out the gold pieces for Elsara, helpfully handing them to her 10 at a time, as Nick counted on his claws that they did in fact get 10 coins each time.
They have been paid, master.
Splendid work, Jeeves. Where is home? I want to go show Cara what I bought. She said find something to do with flowers. This is for flowers, right?
he questioned, looking to Alsara, who just nodded.
Oh, yes. It's a flower pot made especially for, sunflowers? Maybe some red crests or yellow dollars.
She was definitely lying. They thought the pot might have been for wine or something. Primitive old people not knowing how to make handles yet was just a funny little quirk.
Jeeves, write that down on something. I need to find out where sunflowers come from. Let us find a druid.
Sir, druids aren't real,
the servant responded, starting to waddle after his master, who had already taken off in a seemingly random direction, holding his new property. It didn't look like Jeeves had anything at hand to write on, but Nick kinda doubted the master would realise.
Nonsense! I read about them in this fine book I got. Something, Tales from the Frontier. Marvellous thing. Do you read, Jeeves?
The man prattled on, as they disappeared into the crowd to be someone else's headache. Nick and Alsara both stared after the pair for a moment before looking to each other's eyes wide.
Yes! Quick, before he drops it. There's nothing here, dude. It's all rotten or smashed to shit.
Alsara sighed, sitting down against the wall of the ancient old temple or whatever this place was. She put out her torch for the moment and leant it against the wall as she took a minute to just relax. Her feet hurt like hell and she had definitely cut herself a few times as they were exploring.
I'm sure we've not seen all of it yet. There's gotta be something somewhere,
Nick objected, not wanting to give up like always.
Stupid dragons, able to walk all day and not get tired.
Secretly, she was quite happy Nick didn't get tired easily. It meant she always had a ride when her legs gave out. In here, though, he only just about fit, leaving no room for her in the saddle, unless she wanted to lie down on him or something. The dragon lay down beside her, the twin torches strapped to his horns now providing the only light in here. They still had a few spares, but supplies in general were running out. They could hunt for food, but not lamp oil or rags to make torches. They were also out of salt. Her water skin had a hole in it, and the flint in her fire still broke yesterday. It still sorta worked, but it was a bitch to get sparking.
We'll just chill, then keep looking. We ain't been down here before. Oh, we so have. I recognise those ones,
Alsara objected, pointing to yet more carvings on the walls. They were everywhere you went in this place. Some of them looked good, others looked like her and Nick writing. We were here on some ancient old priceless throne, or whatever a high priest sat on.
It all looks the same. Just think of the treasure. Find like a pantry or something. Pots and vases and shelves from floor to ceiling. We gotta keep looking. It would be like 200 gold. In your dreams? Face it, man, we're fucked. Ain't shit here, and now they'll want us for like theft or some shit when we go back there. We didn't promise we would bring anything, only that we would look. Do you think they'll give a shit with that whack job telling the story?
Alsara questioned rather sarcastically, looking to the dragon, who looked like such a dum-dum with his pair of torches.
So, go to some other city for a while. I guess. Not like we have anything to sell anyway. We'll find some... What about bits of old priests? There are a few skeletons back that way,
the dragon offered with enthusiasm, pointing back the way they came.
We don't know if those were priests or not. What if it was the cleaning guy?
They won't know either, the dragon said with a shrug.
It'll be fine. They get a saint or something, we get paid for bringing them back. Oh, even better, we just burn the guy and demand money for sending him to heaven. I'm pretty sure they would want some proof, man. Then we bring the skeletons back and burn them in front of them. Or let them do it. Easy job. Worth a shot, I guess. We're gonna look shady as fuck with a couple of skeletons riding with... You know that, right? I'm white. It won't matter. People trust me. Lucky bastard. Fuck it. Backup plan it is. Let's keep looking, though. Don't want to share with a dead guy. Dude, just put some effort in. What are you, a giant grandma? It won't budge, man. This shit sucks,
Nick complained, as he strained against the giant door. They had finally found something that looked promising deep down on the lowest level they had found yet. At the end of a corridor, there was a big, solid stone door with a bunch of markings carved into it. It looked like it had been vandalized at some point, with lines of runes running this way and that across whatever it had said to start with. Elsara had tried to discern some of it, but other than bits of prayer, she couldn't work it out. It was a temple, after all. There were prayers and shit everywhere. What they needed was to get inside. Sadly, that was Nick's job.
Go on! Can't be that bad,
Elsara chided as she held her torch high. Nick had his shoulder against the stone and was pushing with all his might, claws scraping on the stone floor.
Maybe it needs to push the sides. Try grabbing the line instead.
With a heavy sigh, Nick relented and took a step back to look at the door. There was a line splitting it into two, so maybe it did slide. Worth a try at least. It took quite a lot of work to get his claws jammed into the crack so he could get a hold, and his claws were definitely ruined by it, but who cared? What mattered was that the doors budged a little as he worked his claws in. You ready? He asked, and confident this was it, the payday they had been waiting for.
Ready,
Elsara agreed with a nod, waiting with bated breath.
Fucking shit!
Nick strained, and one of the two doors started to slide open with a horrendous grinding noise that had Elsara covering her ears. When finally it was about halfway open, he relented again and put his shoulder against the other door. With a big push, it too yielded. He stuck his head inside to get a look as Elsara darted under him, torch held high to light up the room. The flames licked his neck a bit, and he snorted cold air down at her to try and annoy her back, but accidentally put out the torch instead.
You massive doormat!
Elsara cursed, as he heard her settle down with the broken flint and steel to try and light it again. His own torches had burned out over an hour ago, and they were trying to save on the light, so they only had one lit.
You burn me, he defended himself in mock outrage. What if I turned black from soot? Then it would match your personality,
Elsara chuckled as she laboured. They couldn't be in a bad mood right now. They had found something for sure. He could feel it, and she could too. With some grunting and a few sparks, the torch spluttered to life once more and she held it up high, illuminating the room.
The shit is that? She questioned,
as Nick tilted his head. It wasn't a room full of pottery, but it certainly was something.
An altar?
There was a large white marble slab in the centre of the room, which stood out quite a lot since everything else here had been sandstone thus far. It was covered all over in runes, and really looked quite well preserved for being so old as all this stuff surely was.
Looks really good.
Think it's magic? Nick questioned, as Elsara walked into the room proper and he squeezed through the doors, scraping his rig a little, but it would be fine. It was tough stuff, and this was what an exploring dragon did for a living.
Might be. What is all this crap? Don't they like to pray up in the sun?
Elsara questioned as she started looking around. The room was quite large and had 6 even sides to it. There were grand carvings cut to each wall, all depicting a dragon.
Dude, check it out, it's me!
Nick burst out as he looked over the carving, the distinct features of an ice dragon clear for all to see. The spiky scales and spines, angular jaw and jagged horns. It was a white dragon all right. Looking to the next one that looked like a green, fangs on full display as the visage snarled. These are really damn good.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Check out the design behind them. This one has a flame. It's a red, duh.
I got a snowflake, what the shit? At least make it a nice spike or something.
You get what you deserve,
Elsara chuckled as she moved on around.
An epic craftsman did this stuff for sure,
Elsara said absent-mindedly as she walked around, taking it all in.
So we got white, green, red, black, blue, and... what's that one?
Nick turned to look, and she was pointing back at the wall they had come through, above the door, the last visage. A dragon Nick certainly didn't recognize, with a shimmering pattern coming from behind it like sunlight, or maybe starlight. He'd seen that motive used before, but not the dragon in question.
No clue. Looks like it's smooth, right?
Like a blue, thick-set horns and short snout. Looks more stout.
Wood. Oh, shut up, you dumb fuck. Ain't even working yet.
Elsara chuckled, as they both tried to study the image.
She wouldn't want you. She's important.
The teenage dragonette turned around to look at the other visages, holding up the torch.
She's elevated over all of them. We'll, totally have to ask about that, if we find a scholar or something. They'll just tell us to fuck off, just like last time. Anywho, what's all this got to do with that altar thingy? No chairs, no podium. What's this for? Praying to the dragons? Wait, you think this place worshipped dragons? That's super illegal, right?
Nick questioned rhetorically, as he turned to look at the altar, stepping closer for a better look, along with Ulsara.
Yeah, prison if you're lucky illegal. Think the Inquisition would pay us to wreck this place?
Ulsara questioned. It was probably sarcastic, but they did really need some money.
I don't really want to. It's cool,
Nick objected. They'd agreed they would at least try not to break shit, unless they needed to in order to find more cool shit. They didn't need to break any of this, though.
Bitch, of course you like it. They worshipped you,
Ulsara chided in response.
Giant-ass princess? I should have found a red instead. Big, butch, warm, not a lawn princess.
But what about my gentle temper, cool, refreshing breath, and entry pass into any church you can stand? Gotta be worth a bit.
When was the last time we went and slept in an actual church, anyway? They always try to make you stay, or have you recite prayers. Then I have to be insulted because I ain't good enough at the damn prayers to deserve travelling with you.
Ulsara grumbled. They had truly had some pretty bad experiences before, but you could always count on priests to help if you had to as a white dragon.
I know I'm very generous to allow you to stay with someone as cool as me,
Nick recited with as much pomp as he could muster, a paw held before his chest for emphasis.
If you ask me, a little worship would be nice. That's kinda lacking in today's world, you know. Shut the fuck up, man,
Ulsara chuckled as Nick started laughing.
I swear to your scaly ass that if you start asking for morning prayer, I'll report you to the nearest quisitor for skinning.
Aw, man. I don't want to be a hat on some retard who thinks they own, the whole idea of being right. At least let me work in the mines with the pleasantry.
Peasantry, bro. It's called peasantry. And you're a peasant for sure. You ain't even got a hole to sleep in that's yours.
You don't either, Nick retorted with mock-hurt feelings.
It is hard being a dragon, you know. Sure, big as a hunk of muscle and wings.
Why, thank you. You flatter me, Nick snickered, trying to look abashed.
Not you, a real dragon. You're like a little twig in the wind.
Nick just rolled his eyes. Any bigger and he wouldn't fit in places like this. And he got the door open just fine. He'd done his part.
Just 'cause you're fat and jealous? Fuck you.
No thank you, I want that one, Nick retorted, pointing back at the strange elevated dragon. I'm sure she would be much nicer to me.
Bro, I do like all the shit a whole ground crew does. Get over yourself. Now what the fuck is all this for?
Ulsara questioned, as she ran a hand along the altar.
Yo, don't touch it. What if it's cursed or some shit? Nick cried out.
It was a bit half-hearted. She had already touched it. If anything bad was going to happen, it probably already had.
You're so gonna get turned into a darkling one day. Sun shit don't make darklings. There's suns and stars and real drakes all around. Whatever that one up there is, it ain't a shadow drake,
she objected, nodding to the strange drake.
I mean, yeah, it's like sun or moon. Maybe a star dragon? Ain't never heard of anything like that before. Whatever it is, she looks alright to me, meaning this is probably alright too. Who knows? Maybe it can, give you a divine blessing or something. Maybe it, turns me into a dragon. I ain't saying no to that.
Oh, it's like that, is it? Think it's easy being a dragon? Nick questioned humorously.
I'll have you know it kinda sucks not being able to clean your nails or open your mail. Gee, such hardships. However will I manage?
Ulsara replied sarcastically, as she crouched down to inspect the runes.
If it is magic, I got no clue what it does. I can't read that shit. Probably too old to work anyway. Gotta re-inscribe that shit.
It looks like it's alright. It's super nice work. The carvings are still sharp like new. It came from far away, he concluded, giving the still flat and smooth top surface a tap with his claw. And with a flash, the runes lit up, and his vision went white, with just a twinge of blue.